I reside in a pleasant neighborhood with both my mother and father. My dad is employed on the night shift, while my mom has always worked from the comfort of her home. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a genuine affection for my mom, but she can be a bit peculiar at times. You see, she tends to get a tad restless being cooped up at home, which leads her to delve into an array of unusual hobbies. From refinishing furniture and crafting birdhouses to raising exotic animals and even dabbling in ghost hunting, she's done it all. And here's the kicker, she wasn't particularly skilled at any of these endeavors. Initially, when her behavior started taking a strange turn, I simply assumed she had picked up yet another quirky hobby. However, as the days passed, things began to escalate into the realm of the truly bizarre. My mom began insisting I go to bed early, even though I'm 16 years old. She'd pester me to hit the hay by 9 o'clock, which was quite unusual. But it didn't stop there. Her insistence turned into outright aggression. I tried explaining that going to bed so early wasn't feasible for me, and her response was to suggest I take sleeping pills to knock myself out. As a result, I began barricading myself in my room and pretending to be asleep just to see if I could make sense of the strange occurrences unfolding in our home. I'd hear voices, numerous voices, though they always seemed somewhat distant and hushed. One night, unable to bear it any longer, I ventured downstairs to get a glass of water. It was then that the voices became more distinct, and it appeared as if they were emanating from our basement. My mom must have heard my footsteps, as she was waiting at the top of the stairs, vehemently urging me to return to bed. I couldn't believe my eyes. She appeared incredibly furious, and her face bore peculiar markings that resembled ancient inscriptions or symbols of some kind. It was at that moment that a creeping sense of fear began to gnaw at me. Her hobbies had always been whimsical, harmless, and even endearing, but this felt entirely different. Over the next few days, I found myself pacing in my room, grappling with what I should do next. Then, one day, as I happened to pass by the window, I spotted them. A group of adults, all in a sinister procession, clad in black coats with peculiar facial paint, making their way through our backyard toward the back door. My heart pounded, and I swiftly dropped to the floor, hoping they wouldn't catch a glimpse of me. The sight of people in black coats infiltrating your home in the dead of night is always disconcerting. When I confronted my mom about it, the encounter took a dreadful turn. She suggested that my sleep deprivation was causing me to hallucinate and proposed taking me to a doctor. But I knew what I had seen, and deep down she did too. The following day, while they were occupied in the basement, I stealthily ventured downstairs. I pressed my ear against the basement door, desperately straining to catch any sound that might shed light on the situation. I needed to convince myself that my mother wasn't involved in something malevolent. As I listened, the words became clearer. My mother's voice, uttering chilling proclamations about how she was the chosen one, the one with unfathomable power, and how people should worship her. I recoiled in horror, unable to listen any further. Was my mother running some kind of cult? I had never heard her speak this way before. She sounded resolute, incensed, and for the first time, I was genuinely, deeply afraid of the woman I had always considered sweet and innocent. I dashed up to my bedroom, my heart racing. I needed to alert Dad, gather more evidence, take some form of action. My immediate priority, though, was to investigate the basement. The next morning, as Mom set off for a shopping trip, I seized my opportunity. Sprinting down the stairs, I had to act swiftly before her return. Yet, what I stumbled upon in the basement took me completely off guard. There they were, the ominous black cloaks, eerie candles, and large unsettling banners adorned with a peculiar symbol that seemed to pervade everything in that eerie chamber. The symbol appeared on the candles, the cloaks, and the banners alike. My curiosity led me to pick up a book lying at the forefront. It resembled some sort of rule book, akin to a Bible for their peculiar practices. As I turned the pages, searching for answers, I was met with an unexpected sight. The entirety of the book's interior was blank. My mind raced with questions. Was there a specific method to decipher its contents? Did they possess a hidden source of light or powder for this purpose? Just as I was about to delve deeper into the enigma of the book, I heard the unmistakable creak of the upstairs door opening. It was too early for Mom to be home. She had just left. I hastily concealed the book in my pocket. Realizing that I couldn't make it upstairs without being seen, I resorted to hiding under the stairs amidst a clutter of storage boxes. My mother descended the basement stairs, murmuring to herself, and I did my best to conceal myself further, all the while feeling the unsettling sensation of spiders crawling over me. I could feel the cobwebs brushing against my neck and face, resisting the urge to scream. Eventually, my mom's figure appeared, and she retrieved her purse from the table. Relief washed over me, and I let out a sigh as she ascended the stairs. I waited until I heard the front door slam shut before cautiously emerging from my hiding spot. The fact that I was hiding from my own mother was surreal. That night, before my father left for work, I pulled him aside. I attempted to divulge everything, the strange individuals in our house, the eerie whispers, and the unsettling things Mom had been saying. I even handed him the mysterious book, but he questioned if I had crafted it in art class, believing I was fabricating the whole story. I tried to defend my credibility, insisting that I was telling the truth, but he simply kissed me and headed off to work. I was seething with frustration. Have you ever experienced the frustration of your parents disregarding you, assuming you're just a naive child who doesn't understand the world or what you're talking about? It was almost more infuriating than the secrecy surrounding Mom's activities. Clearly, something was amiss, and if my father wouldn't listen, I'd have to uncover the truth on my own. I informed my mom that I'd be spending Friday night at a friend's house, and she seemed oddly enthusiastic while trying to act nonchalant. My plan was set into motion. I would go to my friend's house for a brief visit, then sneak back home around 10 o'clock, precisely when I knew she would have these mysterious guests over. The appointed time arrived, and I departed from my friend's house. As I turned the corner toward my own home, I noticed an eerie glow emanating from the backyard. I stealthily moved closer, my heart racing as the sound of a crackling fire reached my ears. What in the world were they doing with a fire back there? I cautiously peered through a gap in the fence, desperate to uncover the truth. What I witnessed on the other side of that fence will forever haunt my memory. The group, shrouded in cloaks, had formed a circle around a blazing fire, with my mother perched on a crate, fervently berating them. Her piercing words were directed at a diminutive woman across from her, accusing her of betrayal and asserting that she deserved punishment for her disloyalty. The trembling fear in the woman's eyes was palpable. My mother's behavior was utterly alien to me. I had never seen her in such a state of terror. My hands trembled uncontrollably, and I struggled to draw breath. Other members of the group seized the woman, and the fire illuminated her face, casting an eerie and unsettling glow. My mother declared that they would deal with the woman once and for all. Could it be that my mother genuinely intended to harm someone? The same woman who had raised me, the one who used to shed tears while watching nature documentaries, had power truly gone to her head? The woman on the other side of the fence let out a piercing scream, forcing me to avert my gaze. I couldn't bear to witness this madness any longer. A surge of conviction coursed through me. I retrieved my cell phone and dialed 911, my trembling fingers punching in the numbers. How could I take such a drastic step against my own mother? What was happening to me? Were my actions justified? These questions swirled in my mind, but when the operator answered, I knew without a doubt what I had to do. I informed them that my mother was on the verge of causing harm to someone and provided them with our address. I sat huddled against the fence, turning my gaze away from the unfolding scene, anxiously awaiting the arrival of the police. As the red and blue lights of the patrol cars bathed the house in an eerie glow, a hushed atmosphere descended on the other side of the fence. When the police finally arrived, I rushed to them, tears streaming down my face, and poured out the entire story. My mother's involvement in a cult, her impending punishment of a group member, every detail I knew. The policemen appeared taken aback. I hid behind them as they entered the backyard. My mother immediately raised her hands in a gesture of surrender, her bewildered expression contrasting starkly with the expected relief of a supposed victim. It was then that doubt began to gnaw at me, and I started to question the accuracy of my actions. My mother swiftly clarified to the police that they were merely rehearsing for a community play. Play? Confusion and disbelief churned in my stomach. I was utterly baffled. My mom handed the officers a poster announcing the play's opening the following Saturday. With that, the police departed, cautioning me not to make false alarms in the future. Hot tears welled up on my cheeks. Later, I confronted my mother, demanding an explanation for her secrecy and her uncharacteristic behavior. She confessed that she had kept it all under wraps because she didn't want to share until the opening night. She explained that she had been apprehensive about our judgment, given our history of poking fun at her hobbies. She didn't want to risk embarrassing herself until she could prove her abilities to us. Discovering that she had finally found something she excelled at filled me with profound regret. I felt an overwhelming sense of guilt for having made my own mother feel inadequate and for stifling her ability to explore her true self without fear of ridicule. In that moment, I couldn't help but apologize, my heart heavy with remorse, and I enveloped my mother in a heartfelt hug. The following Saturday, my father and I attended her play performance, and to our astonishment, it was nothing short of incredible, worthy of an Oscar even. I couldn't believe that my mother possessed such talent as an actress. From that point on, both my dad and I became strong advocates for my mom's various hobbies. I came to understand that if someone has a genuine passion for something, it's essential to support and encourage them rather than belittle their aspirations. Making fun of people's passions isn't amusing, it's simply unkind. I used to view my mom solely through the lens of being just my mom, but I came to realize that she, like me, is an individual striving to find something she loves to do. Have you ever found yourself mocking your parents, siblings, or friends for their unique interests? It's a powerful reminder that we should embrace and celebrate the diverse passions and pursuits that make each of us who we are.